So we are at week 5 of our project management course. You will join us in these so, according to our, do I have it here? And our course outline, what I'd like to spend time on today is project design. This is relevant for both community development as well as in business, so those in procurement. Which program are you in? And he said, remind me, which program are you in? Procurement also? Procurement. Procurement, development, new development, new development. New development. New development. Well, which program are you in? Procurement. So the men are in procurement, and today are in community development. But this is relevant across the board, and smarter color. So today we're talking about project design. And really, this is the thing that happens that people don't really think about so much. When we talk about projects and managing projects, in the life cycle of a project, so we know that a project goes through, you should know by now, what are the main stages in the life cycle of a project? So projects have a beginning, a middle, and an end. What do we call those stages? Kelvin, can you help us? Do you remember some of the stages in the life cycle of a project? It will come back to me. I know. So the project starts. I'm not sure we're going to write it like this. So a project, I said, has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So the beginning, generically, we could call initiation. And so the kinds of things that happen during initiation actually will include project design. Or sometimes it'll be outside of this. Then there is planning as a distinct phase. Once you have planned, then what do? This is a very participatory class, so you're meant to listen, take notes, ask questions. This is not, I don't lecture, like I just talk and you listen. So after planning comes what? Execution. Execution. This is the kind of execution we say line up on the wall and construction. No. Execution, also called implementation. You can use either term, they're both the same. They mean the same thing in this context. They mean different things in other contexts. And so you have implemented the project, then what happens? Project ends, we have what is called closure. So you wrap up the project, you don't just walk away, you finish in a clean way. And anybody know why I drew it like this? So if you think a project is one thing, it has a beginning and an end, you would usually write it like this goes to this, goes to this, goes to this, and you finish, right? Why would I draw it like this? This suggests something wants to go here, right? So, but if it's we said a project is a one thing. It's a unique, I do a project and then it finishes, yeah? So, for some projects it's true. It'll start here, go there, go here, finish. Depending on the organization, and especially in the world of development, you don't usually do a single project. Usually, especially big organizations, CARE, USAID, NORAD, EU, World Bank, you name it, they talk about programs. Have you heard of programs in development? You heard of programs, development programs. Yeah. So a development program includes many projects. You remember we talked about this a few weeks ago, that even in business can have a program of many projects that all relate to each other. They're all trying to advance a similar goal, right? And so it might be you have several projects running in parallel, but you also may have a sequence of projects, one after the other. And so each project will inform the next one. So you close this one, and what you actually have in here is a learning. Has to happen. So it actually goes to learning, and then you initiate the next one. Right? You want to see what did we learn from the last one that we can help us to improve the next one. So when you're working on in an organization, it can be in development, it can be in business. There is a step of learning that happens between the iterations of the project. You do this once, you learn. In order to learn, you need to evaluate. Right? You have to be able to say, well, how did it go? What did we learn? What went well? What can we improve? And how are you going to do that? How are you going to decide what went well and what do we need to improve? Just think about that for a second. How are you going to decide? It's an obvious question. Just like in your life, how do you decide what you want to improve? So I'm going to introduce now that in order to learn, you need to be able to evaluate. So there's actually, even before learning, we're going to add here evaluation. So after you close the project, you evaluate. So how did it go? Based on the results of the evaluation, then you see what lessons can we learn from the evaluation. And then, from that learning, we now can initiate the next one. Right? So this is the cycle of projects and programs where learning will be done. And this is now across the board in all of development. This is now the paradigm. You don't just carry out, you don't just have a good idea, let's do a project and you go and do it. They want to see what is your previous experience? Do you see a series of projects? How will you refine them as you go? And so in order to evaluate, you need to be able to measure things. It's not enough to just say, well, I think it went well. People seem to enjoy it. Yeah, we had some challenges, but we got over it. That sounds nice, but that's not really the basis for learning. In order to learn, you need to be able to quantify. You want to be able to give numbers, right? If I say, we are training, I'm training to, what's your favorite sport? Anyone? Football? So you're training to play football. And you want to know, am I getting better? Maybe I'm a coach. Is my team getting better? How do I know if they're getting better? Is it enough I just watch them every week and go, I think they're getting better? I can do that. It sort of works. I can say, your kicks are going, you're missing the goal a lot. Work on your kicks. And then this one, your passing is not so great. Work on your passing. But another way I could approach is I could keep statistics. I could say, how many times this week did Amgad's shots miss the goal or hit the goal? How many times did the goalkeeper, how many shots on goal and how many did he stop? 30%. Let's see if you can get it to 35% next week or next month. Then can you get to 40%, 45%, right? If I start measuring numbers, then it's not just, oh, he looks so good in the goal, look how he dives. But no, yeah, he dives beautifully, but he doesn't actually stop the ball. He has to actually stop the ball. So you need something you can measure. And that's where monitoring and evaluation come in. So evaluation, anybody know the difference between monitoring projects? Monitoring and evaluation, they're always mentioned together. What are these two? Monitoring and evaluation. They're both measuring something. Monitoring, evaluating. The difference is, monitoring is what you do during the project. You monitor, you keep track. Are we on target? How are we progressing? Are we going to make the deadline? Are we going to be delayed? Are we on budget? And so forth. That's the monitoring piece of the project manager. Evaluation, you can only do at the end of the project. Sometimes you do a mid-project. If it's a very big, long project, you might have an evaluation, like a mid-project evaluation. But it's a bigger thing where you measure how is the results so far, right? But more meaningfully, the evaluation happens at the end of the project. So you monitor during, you evaluate after. You're sort of doing the same thing, but then there's differences. The questions you have during will be different than the questions you have at the end. At the end, you want to know, did we have the impact we wanted to have? Did the project succeed? Right? During the project, I can't ask, did it succeed? It's not done yet. It's not a meaningful question. But I can ask, are we making progress on the things, the activities we planned to do? So the project has activities. Those I can measure and see, are we on track? And at the end, I can ask, did the activities have the results that I wanted? You know? Questions so far? So, in this context of the project's life cycle, I said today we're going to look at project design, which comes in here. And then learning would also inform project design. So project design, you want to come up with a project. This is my watch. So my plan is to spend the first half of the lecture today on this topic, and then the second half today talking more about the presentations and the project, and I'll also share the results of the survey that I sent. We'll come back to that. All right. Now, in the spirit of being able to monitor or evaluate, one of the things that's useful, and you can always do this for yourself, is you run, in order to do an evaluation, to say, well, let's say my project was to increase access to safe water, dig wells and so on. How do I evaluate whether the project succeeded? Right? We went and dug some wells, so now we have 100. Is that good? Is it good that we now have 100 wells? It's good, isn't it? You think it's good? Who thinks it's good? 1, 2, 3. No one else thinks it's good? Why do you not think it's good? First of all, why do you think it's good? So the 100 wells, more people have access to water. Okay, it's true. Why do you think 100 is not good? Somebody. Remind me your name. I'm still learning everybody's name, sorry. Sylvester. Sylvester. You think 100 is a good or not good result? At the end of the project. If a project has a goal to increase access to safe water, and at the end I tell you there are now 100 wells in this community, or in this region, whatever it is that a good result or not?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
It is. Does everybody agree it's a good result? Yes? No? Okay. It sounds like mostly yes. It is good that there's 100 wells. Nobody disagrees. If I tell you that, wait.
Was the goal of the project to achieve 100 or
Does everybody understand the question? Yes. Can you repeat your question?
was the goal to achieve the 100 goals? No, it's water. It's safe water.
But people have access to safe water.
Just safe water. And you can then
So,
just handle it. You want to
okay, so I said the aim of the project is to increase access to safe water. You can't measure that by itself, but I can measure so how many wells are there. And I told you at the end of the project, there are now 100 wells. And Ivy asked, well, what was the goal of the project? Was the goal to reach 100? If I tell you the goal was to reach 1,000, is 100 now a good result?
No.
Ah. So when I ask you, is it a good result? You can't tell me. You don't know if 100 is a good result. Maybe I say the goal was to build 50 more wells. Whatever number there was, we wanted to build 50 more. If I say we started with 10, and at the end you have 100, then you would say, oh, that's an excellent project. You got not only 50, you got 90 more. But if I tell you we started with 80, and we ended with 100, then the goal was 50, but how many did we actually get? Only 20. From 80 to 100, we only built 20. That was not the goal, right? So you cannot measure, you cannot determine whether a project is successful unless you know where you started. Where did we begin? Where did we end up? Where did we think we were going to end up? What was the plan? Then you can compare, where did we want to get? What difference did we want to make? What difference did we actually make? Then I can evaluate, and you can compare those two numbers. But if someone doesn't give you those, right? So let me put on the board here. So when you plan, or you have to set the initial, or you have to know the initial. What is the current reality? And then you decide on a goal, right? A goal number. So So now when you come back to evaluate, you can go measure the difference. Does anybody know why this is the Greek letter delta, capital delta. The letter D in Greek. And we use it for the difference in math. It's a quick way to say the difference in something. I hope that's a good. Interesting. I can teach you lots of Greek letters if you want. They're all over the place. Yeah, so if you see anywhere, this is just on the side. Yeah? So if I say delta wells equals, you would read that as the change in the number of wells is some number, right? You would say plus 40, let's say, or minus 23. Any number. The change in the number of wells is, and here you can write whatever it is you want to measure. But you're saying there's a change. So there's an initial and a final. So it's the difference between. So it's a quick way to write that. Okay. That's just for your interest. So at this point, before I go further, we're going to do a little self-assessment. So self-assessment is not part of your grade. It's for you to know, to be able to measure how much do you know now, and then we will do it again in later, and you will be able to see how much do I understand later. Has my understanding advanced? So I gave this on Friday, and people spent a long time on it. So I'm going to put a time limit. You are probably not going to get many of these. If you knew all of this already, you would not be in this class. Okay? So don't feel like, oh, I don't know these. It's like, that's okay. You're not supposed to know all of them. Hopefully you know something. Yeah. So let me we'll read it together to make sure that it's clear what it's saying, and then you can spend a few minutes. And let's see if I can. So, everybody has one? So, the way this works, it's very simple. There's a list of words or terms on the right, on the left box A, with a blank after each one. And there's a list of descriptions in box B. And the exercise is simply to match each of the things in box B with one of the things in box A. Everything gets used once. There's 20 of them. So, would someone just read through them so we are just, the words, the meaning is, this is not a, yeah. Mercy, would you read box B?
Box B, 1. Training teachers. 2. Summer of project design. 3. 10 schools constructed. 4. 0% of teachers using at least one new technique.
Did you say 0%? Just percent of teachers.
Percent of teachers using at least one new technique. 5. Increasing of interest in target areas. 6. 25% increase in joint attendance in school by year 5. 7. Terms of difference. 6. 75% of teachers using at least one new technique. 9. 10% of teachers using at least one new technique. 10. Checking performance against implementation targets. 11, access project achievement. 12, identify projects. 13, identify needs and priorities. Priorities. 14, stage of project activity and resources allocation. 15, stage of active project. 16, highlight the project budget relationship. 17, budget, materials and staff. 18, increase capacity to address needs. 19, cultivation of activity. 20, active involvement of stakeholders.
Okay. Are there any words that we absolutely have no idea, we don't understand what the statements? So I'm going to give you, let's start with 8 minutes and see how you do. So make sure to write your name at the top. When you're done, I'll collect them, score them, and then give them back to you. So this is just for you to have a sense of how much do you know going into this topic, and then at the end of it, we will do it again to see how much do you know coming out. This is not graded, don't be scared. This is for your own information and also part of the Does anybody need a pen or a pencil or something? Does someone have an extra one for right now? you have the attendance sheet, make sure you pass it on, that's what Mr. Sandberg. About 1 minute left. or so. I lied, it was less than a minute. Okay. I'll collect them. You're not competing with anyone else, this is just reviews. I told you this will be hard, it's supposed to be hard. So, you just better listen. It's okay that there are blanks. piece. Only one number for. Alright. That felt hard. I would say that felt hard. It's okay. You don't have them. Nobody else finished. Nobody finished it. In case you're wondering, not a single one of these is full. This is not scored. I'm not going to think good or bad of how you are. This is to know where are you right now. You're here to learn. So right now, I know this much. In a few weeks, how much will I have known? If you don't measure now, then how do you know later? Right? That's the purpose of this. I'm not judging you. Nobody else is going to judge you. You are comparing yourself between now and later. That's what striving for excellence looks like. All right. Thank you, Ruth. Now, project design. So, any questions before I erase this? Or thoughts? Okay. So next we're going to talk about, so how do we do this project design, this piece that goes in initiation? So what most people usually do, and it's a natural human tendency, everybody wants to do this, is they get an idea for a project and say, oh, we should build wells. And then they find some people who say, we should build wells. Yeah, it's a good idea. Really, we should. Okay, how do we do that? Well, we need some money, we need some digging equipment, we have to, where should we do it? Well, for this community, they could use it. And you organize and you do the project. And, maybe it goes well, not so well, and you can learn about how do I manage that and so forth. But at the end of it, often happen, well, two things happen. One, those projects often encounter challenges on the way, and the direction is not very clear. You have to make choices. Do we really dig these wells, or maybe the people are saying actually they don't need wells, they need irrigation for their fields. Okay, should you switch and do that instead, or no? Find some big wells. How do you figure that out? How do you decide? Right? Or the other thing that happens, you finish, you dug the wells, and then they don't get used. This sort of happens commonly. So there are projects. One project, for example, I don't remember the exact place where it was, but they said, well, people they cook over wood fires, which is very inefficient. Right? It takes a lot of firewood to get boiled water and cook for sima or whatever it is. It wasn't in Malawi yet. And so they came and they said, we have these new stoves that are inexpensive to make. They're very efficient. So, one little bit of wood will last a long time, will burn very hot, it's clean, doesn't make smoke, etc. So we will provide these stoves to the houses in the village. So they did it. They taught them how to use it, everybody understood, they started using it. They come back after the project to see, so how's it going? How's your life improved? And they come to evaluate, and what do they find? No one is using the stoves. They're like, it's their problem, the stoves broke. No, the stoves work fine. So they're not using them. So then they were very curious. Why aren't people using these stoves? And you understand that they're better? Yeah, we understand that better. We agree. They're asking them. And so why don't you use them? And they say, well, we used to cook outside. Our cooking fire. was outside and we could see each other and talk and so on. But the stoves have to be inside. Now we have to, when we cook, we're by ourselves. We don't want to be by ourselves. When I cook, I want to be with others. So we went back to cooking outside. Now, if you were the project manager, or if you were doing this experience, how will it change, right? Now, you come back, you've evaluated, you say, well, the project succeeded in the sense that we delivered the stoves, we trained the people. In that sense, it worked. We did everything we were supposed to do. Right? But did it succeed in that it changed people's behavior? Which was really the goal. Right? It did not succeed in that. Why? Because changing people's behavior is very hard. Right? And two, there are many factors. And you did not consider all the factors to why do people use wood fires. You thought it's simply because that's the only material they have. It doesn't matter where you cook as long as you have a good fire. Not true. A fire has other purposes. So this motivated this kind of experience, not this single experience, but this kind of experience motivated the development community to create what are called, there are different words for the same things. Okay, so I'm going to give you two words, they're both the same thing. I'm going to call them causal diagrams. Causal diagram. Can you read this in the back? Right? You can see? The other name for it, putting a different color. The other name for a causal, the word causal, do we know what that means? Anyone? It's sort of like cause. So a causal diagram is a diagram of cause and effect. The relationships between what is a cause and what is the effect. This is also called, this is the more common term, a theory of change. So an understanding, a theory of how do we think change happens? What changes what? We're going to do a simple example together to understand what this means. But just to give you like a little, I call it a map of where we're going. So the first thing you do is this. The second thing you do is you turn this into a logical diagram. And diagram, a dot to shorten it. And the third is a logical framework. Okay. These are very similar to each other. First you start with this, then you convert it into this, then you convert it into this. Okay. Now we'll talk about the difference between these and why each one is useful. So this first one is, and I will give you, will I use it now? No, first we'll do this. So a causal diagram, or a theory of change, is basically a picture of all the things that happen that influence other things. Yeah. So, that's a good example of matrix. We're going to do this with someone's project. So one of you, I'm going to ask for a volunteer in a few minutes to tell us about the project you wrote about. You've written some, it's really beautiful experiences. Many of you already have projects. But let's do a simple example first. Let's try this one and see how it goes. So you start with the project design. There are two ways people start this. Okay? You can start with A from you can start with the activities you want to do. Activities or objectives. Or you can start with the impact you want. In a sense, you can start with anything, right? So my project, and this you usually do in like a brainstorm. So you get the main people who will be involved in the project together, and you brainstorm together. And we all just start throwing out ideas and so on. So let's say I want to become niche. Let's say I want to become Okay. What are some things that, let's say this is my aim, yeah? I want the project to become healthy. What could I do? What contributes positively or negatively, but what has an impact on being healthy?
I'm a bit confused.
Should I do some examples?
Okay,
Yeah. What are you confused about?
is the both of them have the goal after the goal?
Is it, say that?
Okay. Due to the causal diagram is before the goal and after the goal.
So the question is, do you make a causal diagram before you know your goal?
Before is
Okay. Your goal becomes clearer as you do this. So you may or may not be clear what your goal is. As before you start, it will become clear as you do.
okay. I was saying, I like.
So, Eunice is asking, is this similar to the theory of the 5 whys? Who knows what the 5 whys are? Explain. We take a break now. Okay. So, part 2 of today. We left off with the question, I added a few things here, I'll talk about those in a second. But before that, there was a question, how is a causal diagram similar or different from this technique called the 5 whys? And I'm going to wait minutes to come up with this. So first explain what is 5 whys. So not everybody, maybe not everybody knows. Just remind us, what is 5 watts? Stand up so your voice, when you stand up, your voice is big.
And then if you get the answer, you have to get why until you get the loophole of that problem. That's why why. So the prototype to say this, it's about to identify the
They're in Chichewa, it's useful. Is it easier in Chichewa than English?
I think there, I don't know how to say that.
Okay.
You say, for prototype, it's about to identify what you're trying to achieve. For the work the company, they try to see how you can do it. Like, you have the, you have my work, you have very much into the work. So, it's kind of different, it's very right.
Very good. So there is a similarity, and we will see. So 5 whys, usually there's a problem. We encounter, it's usually used also in ongoing operations. You could also use it in a project. If there's an issue, something happens. You know, like the example we were talking about, if production is low this month. So management comes and says, why is production low this month? We say, the parts didn't arrive. The supplier didn't send the parts. We need it. So then we say, okay, why? That's the first why. But the first why is production is low. Why? Because the parts didn't come. Why did the parts not come? Well, you go ask the supplier. The supplier didn't send them. Why did the supplier not send it? You go to ask them. They say, we never got an order. Why didn't they get an order? Our purchasing department lost the request, the requisition. Why did they lose the requisition? Because they don't have a good filing system. Okay. The reason our production, remember the first question was, why is production low? And if you ask why, and I tell you the parts didn't come, then you say, okay, the problem is parts are not being delivered, you need to invest more in transportation. But see what happens when you keep asking why, you find out, no, the problem is not transportation. The problem is our filing system and the purchasing department. If I fix that, then I fix my production. Right? Now, you're not limited to 5, because of 6, as many whys as are needed. So usually 5 whys really helps you get at more of the roots. What is the root cause? Not the immediate cause. Okay? Okay? So that's usually used in ongoing operations. And it's usually what you do when there's a problem. You want to understand what is the root cause of this problem in order to fix it. But the puzzle diagram is not about solving an issue. A problem has happened, we have to fix it. It's not really that. The puzzle diagram is to understand the world is complex, especially in development. There is nothing more complex than people. Even more complex is groups. Everything affects everything else. So if you want to make an impact, and the same is true in business. Business is very complex. There are many competitors and government policies and internal policies and people and all sorts of things. So you start with, I have a goal, I want to improve, right? And the project, remember that a project is to improve something, not to fix a problem. It's to improve, to create something better, a good change. So here the change I want is to be healthy. Now what are the parts of being healthy? How do I become healthy? Well, one obvious one is how I eat. That's part of being healthy, right? What else helps me to be healthy? Exercise. Okay, exercise. What else? Pizza. What else helps me be healthy? I didn't hear her. What helps me be healthy? You have to speak up really loud, because I can't hear you over the mic. Eat, what I eat, how I eat, how I exercise. What else contributes to being healthy or not healthy? Friends. Friends, what about fun? This is a really cool one. I didn't think of that. That's true. Why is this true? Why is this an impact? Think about this. Being healthy, having a good social life is part of being healthy for us. The social life contributes to exercise. It's much more fun to exercise with friends than by myself. Right? So, if my goal is to be healthy, I can say, I think, eating is okay, and some other things. Let's just add sleep, access to, let's say, access to medical care. Yeah, that's another one. We could add some more, but let's say these ones. Yeah? So I say, okay, I'm okay, here I'm okay, here I'm okay. Here I need to improve. So I need to exercise more. But I'm like, oh, social life helps with exercise. So maybe part of my project is not just I need to exercise, I set a goal, but I think, does my social life need improvement? Can I get a friend to do it with me? I will be more successful. So what else? In order to exercise, I need access to resources? Resources, right? Maybe. Or I could just go running. So running is another form of exercise, it doesn't need. Right? If I want to play football, I need a football. Sleep. Well, sleep is impacted by working hours, maybe, or number of jobs. If I have to work 3 jobs, and if I have a family, and children, more specifically, then I'm probably not sleeping. Right? But then access to medical care. Well, how many hospitals are there? Or clinics? Hospitals, clinics. Do they have trained staff? So the clinic has staff. We could train staff. Right? Staff training. In order to train staff, do they have access to supplies? Both of them need supplies. Yeah? And so on. You keep growing this web. And then you say, well, family and children also have to eat. The number of jobs has an impact on how I eat. Because, do I have access to food, first of all? Access to food. Do I know my knowledge? Do I know what is good food? Do I know about nutrition? or I just eat whatever is there? Yeah. Do I have money to buy food? So this one was money to buy food. Money for food. So there's many reasons why maybe I'm not eating healthy. And if you assume in your project, you say, people are not eating, people are not healthy, we need to give them more access to food. There should be more good food available. So then you do that. Once you go to grocery stores, or you find suppliers who are willing to sell in this area, and you succeed. There's now more food in the grocery store. Nobody's buying it. Why? You say, but we brought the food. Why are people not buying it? Well, either they don't have money to buy it, or they don't know that they should buy it. But your project didn't think about that. Right? That's why you start with this. You want to understand all of the cause and effects. And you can do the same thing in business. Right? So this is one example. Now, this is the causal diagram. And we're doing this quickly as one example. Do you start to see where this is going, how this is useful? No? Yes? Not sure? No? I can't read you. No. You don't see how it's useful. So maybe I should have introduced that. Remember we started saying, if you want to know whether your project succeeded, you need to be able to measure something. Right? What is it you're going to measure? Is the next question. So you know I need to measure things. The baseline, where we started, where are we now? How many wells are there now? How many people are educated? How many girls have completed Standard 8, 4, whatever, university? Whatever the thing is you're interested in, what are you going to measure? And often people get really confused about what to measure. And the way that this tool that the development world has created, this has been around now for years. The tool they've developed is this logical framework. So logical framework organizes these kinds of relationships into a diagram. So I haven't given you a logical framework. I'm going to argue 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 4. Okay. I don't have enough for everyone. I printed like one for every 2. So pair up with someone. Just move your desk close or something. And you can do this together. Let's start with, so let me start on page 3. Start on page 3, called simple logic diagram. So I know we started with causal, but we're going to start with logic and then go back to it. Where we want to get to is this kind of organized presentation of a project. This is the logic, that's why it's called a logical diagram. This is the logic of your project. How does your project make sense? What is it trying to do? And do you understand how the things you want to do will have the effects you hope they will have? Right? So on the far right-hand side, there's a column called impacts. That's the biggest strategic thing you're trying to do. Impacts are a change in the state of people's lives, or the state of the community. So they're healthier, they are more educated, they have more income, very high level impact. So there's examples here. Improved well-being, a change in mortality, in health, in income, in equality, unity, justice. These are all potentially the intended impact of a project. That's the high-level thing you're trying to contribute to. Your project by itself is not going to make this impact happen. This is too big for any one project. I don't care how big your project is. It can be $100 million. You will not by yourself change these things, but you will contribute to it. Right? Then, what helps to make this impact? Okay, I want to improve health. That's the example we're using. So, what do I need to have? What needs to happen for health to improve? Well, there has to be some change in capacity or access to resources, or in knowledge, attitudes, and behavior. A change has to happen in people. So the impact is their state changes. The effects. What happens to make that change in state? People have to change. Okay. These are the. Can you hear me? You understand me better. These are the effects I want to have. I need these effects to happen in order to have an impact. Now I'm here. In order to improve health, I need to increase people's capacity to take care of their own health, their children. I need to ensure they have access to healthcare. I need to change their behavior. They should eat healthy food, or they should use more sanitary conditions. People are clean and use clean water and stuff. And that's the effect. But this is still not what I do. My project doesn't do this. My project will be activities. Now, what helps to, what does it mean to have improved access to healthcare? Well, it means we have to either train more doctors and nurses, or build more clinics, or bring more to class. Something has to happen. Right? That has to mean something. You don't just say improved access to healthcare. You say improved access to healthcare means what? You know this, you know this, you know this, less than that, whatever. Those are the outputs of your project. So we're going up, back. What causes an impact? These effects. What causes these effects? These outputs. What causes the outputs? With your activities. And now we get to, this is what your project does. Your project team, you and your staff, this is what you do. You don't do impacts, effects, and outputs. That is not what you do. You are not in the business of doing that. You don't do help the community. Go do health. Go do improve health. What do you want me to do? But if I tell you, go train 10 nurses, I can do that. It's an action. The activities are the actions we take. Right? We will train people. We will build things. We will organize. We will, what else? Upgrade. We will educate. We will sensitize. We will raise awareness. We will do these things. These are the things we do. The things we do you have some output. Let's say I'm going to train nurses. Okay, the output is I now have trained nurses. That's the output of training nurses. I train nurses, now I have trained nurses. But trained nurses by themselves are not improved health. They need to improve. So this is a way of organizing your thinking and your projects and the design of your projects in a logical way. Now, every one of these for activity, and there's even inputs before that. So in order to carry out these activities, you need people, money, resources, equipment. Each of these, you can create indicators. An indicator is a thing you measure, right? And the things you measure, impacts are harder to have as indicators. But the other ones, you can. The objective of the project will be something in the effects column. It could be just one, it could be more than one. Right? This is your project objectives. You know that if you're part of a program, remember we talked about projects are part of a larger program. Your program is trying to have this impact. But even if it's only just doing one project, you can think of what is the impact you're trying to contribute to. So now, are we good enough? Okay, good. Can someone maybe we'll do it with an example. Well, there is an example. Okay. So the way you get to a logic diagram, you don't start by doing this. You don't start building this in. So every project proposal is developed that requires a diagram. In fact, the logical framework, which is this, plus it has numbers. What is the level of result you expect to achieve? And what is the effort required? What are the resources, the inputs, basically? Okay. That's what you're trying to end up. This is basically your project proposal. That's how you do this. If you're going to propose a project, you have to have an understanding that you can express in this way. Okay. So the way you get to this is you start by, now go back to page 2. This is an example of a causal diagram. What's the difference between the logic diagram and the causal diagram? The causal diagram just has things connected to things. And you try to think within this environment, the thing that you're trying to think about, that you're having help you here. What are all the elements that matter that I need to consider? What are the parts of my project? And then this is a sketch of the assumed causal relationship. You're assuming that this relates to this. This is the other reason you do it, is that especially if you're a group of people, whether it's you or a group of people, everybody has a slightly different understanding of why things happen, or what is needed to make something happen. Yeah? So I may say, social life has an impact on exercise, and you might go, no, it doesn't. Oh, you don't think so? Why is that? Now we have a conversation. Right? So you're in a project meeting. We're in a workshop. We are brainstorming this diagram. And one of the things it does, it's not a simple exercise. I just did this quickly because I'm by myself and I've already thought about it. But you're going to do this with a group of people. And everyone's going to have different ideas. Ideas you didn't think about, or ideas you don't agree with. And then you don't get into a debate who's right, who's wrong. You want to find out, oh, why do you think that? Why do you think that social life matters to exercise. You let the person decide, well, because when I have friends, it's easier to exercise. Actually, that's true. So there is some kind of connection. So now we all have learned. This is a way of bringing out everyone's knowledge. So you get a better project design. Right? This is now a new. I never thought that my project maybe should focus on this. Right? I want to improve health. And the things that I can do is exercise, change how I eat, how I sleep, gain access to medical care. But I never thought that maybe thinking about people's social life is actually a good strategy for improving health. But because we had a workshop and someone said, well, what about this? Now you have a better understanding. And you iterate. It's not just you don't just do it once, everybody puts things on the board, you're done. You put things on, and then someone sees this and goes, well, then, but if you're talking about this, then what about, the mothers or the fathers who have big families, well, how many jobs do they have? Their time is limited, so that's true. Okay, so now there's another relationship here we have to consider. What about, right? So the more you work on this, the more you're bringing out information, assumptions. We all have assumptions about how the world is. That may or may not be true. But they may be sort of true. So this helps us clarify our understanding. And not just clarify for me, so not just for you to clarify, not just for Dixon to have a clear idea, and everybody else is into that. Not just you. No, not enough for others not to understand. The whole team needs to understand. It needs to be on the same page. Okay? So that's the purpose of this exercise. So you've done this. Then you. So that's this diagram on page 2 is an example of the causal diagram.
Sir,
Yes.
the question.
Yes.
So, okay, if the ball is in front of you, and then you have identified the things to be done, like creatively, exercise, right? So, are you supposed to do all those things, or you're supposed to choose one thing or two?
That's the decision you have to make. What is your project going to be? And partly it depends on what resources you have, what you want your project to be about. But this helps you to make a more informed decision. Remember the example I just gave is I thought my project will be on this, which means I might focus on this and this. But now, thanks to this exercise, I realized, oh, my project should also have this. This is the, let's say, exercise area. Now, maybe this would be a separate project around food, nutrition. So you have now a project with multiple parts. Or this could be two separate projects that happen at the same time, or one after the other. I can't give you the answer, that depends on. But this will help you to decide what makes sense in the project. Right? Does it make sense to have a project about social life and sleep? Maybe social life actually impacts sleep also. So maybe it's an aspect of both. Sleep is also, right? This gets messy. When you're doing this, it gets messy. So you draw it, then you clean it up. When you clean it up, you get something like this. So, any question? Good to discuss. You want to share with your class? It will benefit others if you have a question. Questions and always. So this is an example of one causal diagram. And now suppose I ask everybody, what do you think? So there are a number of activities related to activities. What do you think is the final impact of this project? When you look at this diagram, what do you think is the impact of this project? What is this project about? Okay? Protection. Improve production. Very close, very close. Increased capacity for the center farmers. Any other ideas? Improve fertility of soil. Thank you. So when we think about these arrows of causation, this causes this, this causes this, this causes this. When we go back to this logic diagram, which is the thing that comes at the end, the impact, does it cause the things behind it? No. Right? So everything else is a cause of the impact. So when you look at this diagram, you're looking for the boxes that have no arrows going out, only arrows going in. Increased income. Really? But it's all about trees and soil and farmers. Yeah. Yeah. But it's a project about increasing income. Now, the increasing income of farmers. Right? So the goal is, here's a community or a region. There are farmers. We want to help increase their income. How do we do that? What is needed to do that? So they started saying, well, what contributes to income? Improved production, healthier animals, availability of wood. This is a bit like the 5 whys. We start from, well, what improves production? Well, we need less erosion, more soil fertility. What gives you those? More trees. So you see how trees actually, surviving trees, feeds everything else. So now you start to see, well, I guess my project will focus on surviving trees because that will help farmers increase their income. I could do many things to increase their income. You could think of other things you would do. Train them on modern farming techniques or something. But in this case, they've identified that actually the presence of trees is what will help them increase their income. Now, what do you need in order to get trees to survive? You have to do other things. Now, if you turn to page 5, second last page, it has all the same pieces as the causal diagram you just saw. But now notice how they're organized. They're organized into columns, right? And they're titled at the top. So the first one are project activities. So from that whole spaghetti of relationships, cause and effect relationships, these 4 are the activities of the project. This is what the project staff will do. And as they do it, they expect the following things to happen. These are the outputs, like the direct If I do this, then I train people, then I have trained people. If I establish a nursery, now there are more seedlings. And these outputs will then contribute to these effects. So this is now the indirect, if you will, the indirect effect of my activities, my product activities. So the outputs are the direct effects. The effects are indirect. My project isn't improving, I don't go and improve fertility of soil. What I'm doing is making trees more available and helping them survive. That will lead to the soil fertility being improved. And then finally, those lead to the impact I want to have. In this case, there's actually two impacts. So you were right, improved production is one, increased income, and healthier animals. So the sort of the highest one is the increased income. So now we've organized it like this. And you might say, okay, well, now, for each of these categories, you can come up with indicators, things you can measure. The things you will measure, you can measure your project activities. So it says to train farmers. I can measure, for example, if you go to the last page, there's examples of indicators. And there are two kinds: process indicators and result indicators. And it's important to distinguish between these. Many people get these mixed up. You ask them, was your project successful? They say, yeah, we trained 100 teachers. You say, yeah, what was your project about? Increasing literacy. Okay, telling me you train teachers doesn't tell me whether literacy has improved. It just tells me you train teachers, which is good. But did those teachers then increase the literacy? No. Those are two different kinds of indicators. It's like saying, okay, you come to university, yeah, to learn. The result you want is when I finish, I have capacities I didn't have at the beginning. I have knowledge and I have capacities. I know things and I can do things. Okay. Okay. So if I say, okay, well at the end of 4 years, you have taken 60 classes and you spend this many hours in those classes. Will that tell you whether you have learned actually? No. It just says you spent time in a class. Okay. Did you learn anything in that class? That's a different thing for them. And then you would ask, what were my grades? Those are a measure of what I learned. So that's one measure. But that's not the only. What about the things I can do? The capacity that I have acquired. Now I can write better. Now I know how to give presentations. Now I know how to work in a group, in a team. Right? We don't get grades for that. So how do you measure that for yourself? That's different than how many presentations did I give? Maybe someone has to practice a lot to get good at it. Someone else doesn't need as much practice. So just saying, I gave 3 class presentations, I was going to get 4. But the one who gave 4, are they a better presenter than the one who gave 3? Maybe not. You see the difference between indicators of the process. If you never go to class, then you will not get the result of being better educated. If you don't read, you don't go to class, you don't write exams, nothing will change. So those are indicators of the process. This is a project. For you, coming to university is a project. At the beginning and end, you'll have a goal, you have a plan. Every year, I'm going to have these courses, have you worked on that? So at the end of it, you want to see if there a result. But the thing you measure to tell you whether the result is good is different than the thing you measure during the project to say, am I doing the work that I expect will give me the result? And the two are not the same. Okay? So, I wanted us to do an example that we have done. 15 at the end. So we start with the logic. Where you want to get to is the logical framework. So the last piece, the logical framework, is basically this. But now with numbers, we actually need to do some assessment. What is the result I want with the change? Today there are 10 wells. At the end of the project, we want 100. For the literacy, our goal is to increase literacy. So we're going to measure literacy today. It's today 20%. At the end of the project, we want it to be 50%. Okay, that's the expected level of achievement. We expect the result to be 50%. And what effort will that take? This is now the planning. In order to get there, I need to train how many teachers, how many textbooks, I need to put them in our meeting to leave because they don't come to school because they're hungry. I need to provide food, how much food, how many do I provide them food? Or do I help the community grow its own food? So now my literacy project is in farming aspects. Because actually the lack of food is getting in the way of children learning. But you will never know that if you do this. Why do you say literacy? What is in the way of literacy? You say children don't come to school. Why don't they come to school? Oh, well, they have to work on the farm. They have to work in the family business. For me, improving the school and training teachers won't make a difference. That's not going to make them come to school. It's not going to change that they have to build up their family business. I have to think about how do I help the family business so that the children can come to school. So how do I improve literacy? By improving the parents' income. Did you think of that? Yes. Okay. So the reason you do this, or the reason organizations require you is to show that you really thought about what are you trying to achieve. What will actually make that happen? And what do you think you will do? Why do you think that will lead to the correct result? I'm thinking what to do in the last couple of minutes. So, some of you put up the creativity box or question box. Okay. The way I see to go do your own reading test. It's not enough to find listen in class and teach you how. In order to learn, you have to go out to find preventing some things. And then you take it and you go and you read more about it. You say, what am I curious about? What didn't I understand? You go online. I can send you a few links to websites that I do information, short articles, and you can go over this again. I will send you the handout also. But yeah, it's important that you read. If you want to learn a lot, asking someone but reading is key. If you don't go read on your own, you will not learn good. You're going to be slow. So that's how, when I'm at university, that's how we have every class you have to do in addition to computer. So that's it. Mostly I will be putting things on the class website, the Moodle, the e-learning platform. You should all, most of you, I think, have access. If not, please talk to our continuing education program associate who runs it. If you don't have access on, ask them, because that's where I'm putting notes and resources and textbooks and links to things. Also, the recordings of the lectures, you can find out. If you want to rewatch the lecture again, and you miss the lecture, you want to see. Yes. So then in terms of the class projects, one of the things you all said, came out of, when I asked last week, you want to learn to write proposals. So here's what I'm proposing. As a class, to carry out a survey of your fellow students. So the overarching question is, how do we improve the learning experience for students, day students, at the University of Wisconsin? And then to ask your fellow students. So we're going to design a survey together, which is the first thing, maybe before you even do a project design or as part of the project design, you do an assessment. What are the needs in this community? This university is a community. So what are the needs in this community? What do people actually want? And then from the results of the surveys, there will probably be a few major things that people all agree is what we want. My suggestion is that in groups, you will each, I don't know how big the groups would be, maybe 2 to 4 people. You would write a project proposal for that thing. So if everybody, one of the big things everybody wants is, I don't know, what is something that feels more entertainment? That was one of them. So if everybody agreed yes, that should be more entertainment, then you would need to do an analysis and come up with a project proposal for how would you bring about more entertainment. And then some other thing people want is, different classes. Okay, so you're going to write a proposal for how you come up with different classes or class schedules, whatever it is. So you'll get practice writing a project proposal as a team. And a proposal will need to include a number of aspects of projects. A project plan, there's a budget, there's a schedule, there are resources, and these are the things that we're also, so as we discussed them in class, we're going to be adding that to your proposal. So by the end of the term, you will have a finished proposal that you can handle. So that would be one of the parts of your, the assessment for this class. I guess it's 2 minutes. So I wanted to share with you the survey results. I thought I had printed them, but I guess I didn't. I'm going to show you the printer. But essentially, so a few of you completed, many of you didn't. If you can still go today and fill it in. It's easy to do. So I asked, are there certain topics that you're very interested in and topics you're less interested in? You already know. And basically, most everybody said, we want to learn about everything, which is not very useful. Good to know. And then of the techniques, similarly, most everybody wanted to learn most everything. A little bit of variation, but very small. And then the projects, there was a question about your ideas. Each of you will give a presentation in class. And I think at this point we should plan that maybe the first one could be in we could start in 2 weeks to give you time. So some of you submitted some ideas. Everyone else, you should also send me your idea for a class presentation. So a 10-minute presentation, and then you'll also give me, if you write what it is that you're presenting. How long it should be. And so a 10-minute class presentation on a topic that we will select together. You can suggest something and I can help you refine it. So many of you said project planning, which is too big. So you find a specific piece of it. Okay. Any questions? Comments? Somebody wrote, by the way, on the survey. I don't remember who it was. Please don't lecture at us for 2 hours. Like, that's tiring. And oh yeah, one of the questions was, what class format do you want? Lecture? Do you prefer lecture? Do you prefer participatory discussion, conversation, and hands-on exercise, which we said we will do some. Computer lab is being so maybe after the tips, you use that. So I saw that comment. I'm trying to make it more participatory. If you have suggestions of how to do that even more effectively, I'm very open. You can write to me, or come and see me, or after class, or in class. I don't want to talk all the time. So, just to say that I recognize that me talking for 2 hours is I see smiles, so knowing like okay. That's some of you are they not? Just for a second. You don't have anything else? You can keep those, yeah. Wow, I will also send them electronically. What did you think?